Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you're having a good Monday. Today, we're going to talk about that situation, and it's happened to all of us. You're out there throwing a jerk bait or a crankbait, something like that. You wind up, you make one of them big, long casts, and that bait just keeps sailing, like way farther than it was sailing every other cast. And you realize about the time it gets, out there that it's going that far because the line broke and it's still sailing out there. Well, in today's episode, we're going to talk about why that happens and what you can do to prevent that from happening. So stick around, guys. We'll be back and we'll talk about how you prevent those baits from flying away when they want to. Welcome back to MFO, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher. So we've got this situation, and this actually came up. A buddy of mine got done on a tournament day and was telling me about how he had one crankbait that he was really catching those fish on, and all of a sudden he made one big long cast, and that bait just went zipping, and he lost the one crankbait that he was catching fish on. And my question to him was, "Hey, man, did you get a backlash, prior to that bait flying off like that?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, but not like right ahead. Maybe like 10 or 20 casts before that, I had gotten a backlash." I'm like, "That's the reason why." And he kind of looked at me like, "What? What are you talking about?" Well, guys, what happens in those situations when you get that line that gets crimped or looped in your reel, when you're making those casts, that line is constantly hitting above the top of your reel, and it's weakening your line inside the spool or within the length of the line that comes out on your cast. So it's not weakening it right there at the first 20 feet or so. It's weakening it 50 yards into the cast or whatever. And every time that spool goes around, that loop or that crimp is hitting the top part of your reel, and it's weakening that line. And so after about 10 or 20 casts, you make that cast and it's so weak that it just snaps, and your bait and about 50 yards worth of line go flying off with it, and that's what's causing it. So when I'm talking about this, what I'm saying is you got to be a line watcher, but you're not watching a line that's in the water. You're paying attention to your line that's on your reel and making sure that that line on your reel is on there smooth and that there aren't any crimps and that there aren't any loops. Let's take a look at one of my reels that I've kind of backlashed and put a loop in so that you can see what that looks like. So I want you to take a loop at this reel. Right now, that line, I don't know whether you guys can see it, but that line doesn't look terrible. But if you're watching it, when I release the bail and you see as it's coming out, there is a loop in this line. See that right there? That loop? Maybe that angle gives you a bit. And so what you need to be doing, if you were casting this right now, this is where that loop, as it's coming around the bail, it's going to be hitting the top and in here every time it goes around. And it's going to be weakening that line. There it is. Boom, it hits there. Every time it goes around. And in this case, we're going to keep going. And now we still haven't cleared it yet. It's still hitting there. Right there's a loop. And it's continually hitting that reel. And there we finally cleared it. So this is where we finally cleared that little bit of a backlash that was in there. And now what we want to do is make sure that we're holding the line and putting the line back on the spool. Oh, there was still a loop in there. We want to, and that's what we're doing right there. Yep, there's a loop. Can't tell if you can see that, but it's right there. This is the part that you need to be careful of when you're clearing a backlash, you need to make sure that you're clearing the backlash all the way so that the line is going back on the spool evenly without loops, because that's what is creating that situation where the line breaks. You will get a kink in the line or a loop in the line, and those places where that happens will bang up against your reel and weaken that line. Every cast will be putting several, like 20 to 50 bangs as it comes out, and you'll be in a situation where it won't take long before you make that cast and the cast keeps flying because you break the line. Guys, it's a relatively simple thing to prevent from happening, but it's something you got to be paying attention to, and you got to know what to pay attention to. And again, so when you get a backlash, make sure that you're being careful to pull that line out all the way, not just, oh, I got it free, let's get back to fishing. Make sure that you're pulling it all the way to the point where the line that's on your spool is on evenly, and then rewind that line so that it's going on evenly and not creating any loops or any kinks in the line. Guys, I hope this was helpful. I'm really kind of pointing it out because it happens to the best of us. I mean, this was another pro that it happened to. He didn't even really know why that happened. So, it, like I said, it can happen to anybody. Hopefully this helps you fix it up. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in as always. If you haven't, please hit the subscribe button. We'd like you to be a part of the community. We've got more tips every Monday through Friday here on Mark Fisher Outdoors. Thanks again, guys. Take care.